Welcome everyone to the ApprovalMax October product update webinar. Justin, can we change slides, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Our agenda for today is we're going to meet our speakers. We're going to do some housekeeping. We've also got some polls. Of course, we're going to have all the feature demos, and we are asking you to ask questions in the Q&A panel below. So please feel free to ask any, using the Q&A panel, any questions. Please change slides, Justin. I'm Dee Johns, the Head of Product Marketing here at ApprovalMax, and today I'm joined by Justin Campbell, our product expert.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Justin Campbell. As we just discussed, I'm from Brisbane, and I come with a whole lot of zero experience, and yeah, really looking forward to going through the updates we have today, which that some of them are really big and going to make a big change to your workflows.
Lovely. Thanks, Justin. Please change slides. So before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. Zoom takes up a lot of bandwidth, so please close down any other apps that you have running in the background so you can get the best experience. As I said before, we want this to be a very interactive session, so please ask any questions that you have in the Q&A section below during our presentation, and our experts will answer those for you. We'll also be running a few polls, and your participation would be greatly appreciated here. Your insights and questions help make this webinar more valuable for everybody, so please don't be shy. We have quite a few people on the call that are thinking about becoming ApprovalMax customers. ApprovalMax is a robust AP and AR automation that puts you in control. It's trusted by businesses, accountants, and bookkeepers worldwide to strengthen their internal financial controls, all in one single platform. Justin, I think we can just jump straight into the updates if we change slides. That's brilliant. First up is review step for Xero and QuickBooks.
Yeah, great. Okay, so this is me, I think. So, this is a really big update. I'm very excited about this one. So, some of you may have already been using the version control feature in workflows. So, this is sort of similar to that, but for your bills and your purchase orders and your sales invoices. So, any changes you make. I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm talking about the version control. That's the next one. So no, the review step is really where it fits in is what a lot of our partners have asked for, and our customers, is for something to go to review before it goes out for approval. And now we have a standalone review step where you can create rules to determine who that reviewer should be. And so I'm going to jump in and show you what that looks like in ApprovalMax. Actually, I might zoom in. That's a little bit zoom. That should be clearer for everyone. And we'll go to approval workflow. So you can set up review steps for pretty much all the workflows now. So purchase orders, bills, sales, invoices, quotes. So if we go into the bill workflow, I already had one set up here, but let's remove it, and we'll click on the plus, and then we'll go add review step, and we'll go enable, and then you can go add your reviewer. And so but you can have multiple reviewers. So we'll put in two. We'll put in myself and Lucy, and then we'll say if the department is sales, it goes to me. If it's product, it goes to Lucy. And so you can just like an approval rule, you can set a reviewer rule as well to determine who the reviewer should be. So if we look at our workflow, people can create the bill, or it can come from Xero, or have come straight from ApprovalMax Capture, which we'll talk a little bit later in the presentation, and then it goes to your reviewers, and we'll go, and then we'll add a default actually. So I'll set myself as the default reviewer. So if I now go and enter a bill, we'll close out of that. Well, if I now go and enter a bill, I'll just put one in quickly. So I'll go 7-Eleven. And that to, yeah, I'll put that to sales and go submit for approval. You'll notice rather than going through to going through to approval, it's actually in review. And at that stage, the reviewer can come in and edit everything. And I started talking about something that we're going to talk about in the next slide that's quite relevant to this. So, um, I'll yeah, I'll leave it there, and yeah.
Lovely. Thanks, Justin. We don't have any questions, but please remember to put all of your questions in the Q&A section and either Justin or our product experts will answer them. So, Justin, what do we have next on our agenda?
Yeah, great. Okay. So next up is pushing comments. So this is a zero. This is just zero. At least at this stage, it's supported for purchase orders, bills, invoices, quotes, credit notes, and any of the sort of any of the comments that you leave in like the audit trail, or when you reject something or leave a comment, that now can get pushed through to the history section in Zero. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I've prepared one earlier for this. So we're going to have a look at this bill here.
Actually, Justin,
Alan,
just before we do that,
yeah.
we actually have a question about the last section from Rose. When reviewer and approvers are different, can the approver see the bill before reviewer finishes the review?
No, it's a step before the before it goes to approval. So the way I think of it is you might have a bookkeeper, or you might have a member of the finance team, or perhaps someone's direct supervisor who's going to review things and make sure, for example, the account codes are correct, that things have been put through to the right supplier. Check it, just that, like really check that it's accurate before it then goes and gets sent off to an approver. Because a common problem people have is that things get to like a senior approver and then they discover a mistake in it, and the reviewer can fix those things. The other part of the review step is that it also gives the approver an option to send things back to review. So rather than rejecting things, a reviewer can type in the comments, "Gee, this is put to the wrong tracking category," and then send it to the reviewer to be fixed. So that there's it's a big improvement on how workflows work.
Brilliant. Thanks, Justin.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, so back to the pushing of comments. Um, so you'll see here, I've got this comment that I wrote in ApprovalMax. Why did we buy this? And now what you can do, now what we could do is see it in Zero. So that comment has now been pushed through to Zero in the history. So that really helps you have Zero be the final source of truth.
Brilliant. Thank you, Justin. So let's go now. I think our next update is accrual reports. Is that correct, Justin?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, there's just one last thing I wanted to touch on,
Yes.
which is how you turn this feature on, because it's not on by default. So the way you do it is you go into your approval workflows, and you go into the settings of the workflow, and it's going to be one of these options here. So it says it's called Send ApprovalMax Events to Zero. And then you've got the option of send only comments or send all events. So that's how you turn on this feature. All right. So now let's
Brilliant.
talk about this one.
Well, Actually, just before we go there, we had a very sneaky quick question come up about from Paul. What about when other files are added in the comments? Will that come up into zero?
Um, under some circumstances, so it will after it's been approved. Yeah, once it's approved, that's when if the bill was originally created in ApprovalMax, the comments will flow through after if they get entered in after the approval.
Brilliant. Thank you, Justin.
Oh, okay. Actually, I think the next one here was request version histories rather than the accrual.
Oh, yes, you're correct. Thank you.
Yeah, this is what I was rattling off before. Well, this is the feature I was talking about before, guys. So if I created any confusion, this is but it goes hand in hand with the review step, because if you're going to give people the ability to review things and send things back to review, you really probably want a better way of seeing the changes that get made in a in the request as part of that process. So that's why I think by allowing a review step and also allowing approvers the ability to edit on approval, it so now you've got this icon, and this is in advanced and premium features that you have access to this. Okay, so this one bad example only has the one. So I think it was one of them I did earlier. Yeah, so this one here, you could see there was a version 1, and this version didn't have a tracking category. Then I went in and I changed the tracking category, the region, to North. And so now it's not just a note in the audit trail anymore. You can actually see the different versions it's gone through now. So I think that's got to be a really, really helpful feature to a lot of people.
Lovely. Thanks, Justin.
All right. Sorry.
So now we're
Sorry.
up to accrual reports. Is that
Yes,
correct? We're getting
that's
ahead of
right.
ourselves here.
That's right.
We're
That's
so
right.
excited about these features.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay, so some of you may have played with this when it was in beta, but it's now in general release. And so for organizations that report on an accrual basis, if you have um, if you have bills that haven't yet hit the ledger yet, um, then you need some kind of process for recording those in on the ledger when you're doing your financial reporting. And I've asked businesses what they do, and they've shown me what they did. And what they were doing was going into Zero and looking at the awaiting approvals area, and then getting out their calculator and adding up the bills, and then doing a manual journal. And then, if there's someone more senior needs to sign off on that, sometimes they're even putting that into an Excel document as a draft journal, and then emailing it to a senior colleague to be reviewed before it gets entered into Zero. So there's clearly got to be a better way of doing this, and thankfully there now is. So if we go into oops, sorry. If we go into there's two features happening here. One, as some of you might remember, we added support to do manual journals, be able to do approvals for manual journals. So it's sort of related to that feature, but what you need to do is create a line item report for your bills pending approval, and you could also do it for purchase orders pending approval as well. And then and then you go up to this icon here, and you go create an accrual journal, and and then you pick the date. So we'll pick today's date, and then we'll put in this is a test narration. and then you've got to pick your accrual account. So go down here, somewhere here, accrued liabilities, and then we go create. And then what it'll do is give you the option to open the manual journal in the new tab. So what it's now doing is using that report as the basis of the journal. So now it's created that journal for you, and so we added all balances and everything. So it could go submit for approval, and then it goes through whatever approval process you've set up for your manual journals. So it's come through to me to be approved. And if I had any questions about it, just like every other approval, I could ask, and I'll go approve. And then I can so I'll just reload this screen. Where's my mouse? Sorry, mouse disappeared. All right, and then I could reload, but then I can, very importantly, just do the reversal. So I could do the reversal. So I'll put that in for the second, and it automates that part of it too for you. You go submit and approve. So what you could do is create the journal and then do the reversal. Um, uh, well, first step would be to run the report. Then it can basically create the journal for you. Then you can do the reversal and send it all for approval. So what you've seen here is both a demo of the accrual feature, but also how manual journals can be used for your end of financial period work as well. So that it, um, for your other, you could just do a manual journal for your other things as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Justin. There was a quick question that's just popped in there. I was just about to ask. Thanks, Elaine. Elaine says, that's a bit dangerous. What happens if an invoice is posted just after the journal is created? Does the journal update?
Um, no, it doesn't. So yeah, I mean, I guess this is where you'd have to use it, in conjunction with other end of financial period processes where you've got, a hard cutoff and things like that, and potentially locking your zero file and doing things like that.
Brilliant. So, Elaine, thank you, Elaine. So, is there a backup report showing items accrued posted with the journal?
Yeah, well, yeah, just like everything else we do, if we go to the manual journal, we there is the audit report that details everything that was on the journal as well, and that would also get that would also that would also get posted in Zero as well. It gets attached to the journal, it gets attached to the manual journal in Zero as well. So if we open it in Zero, you'll see that there's a file attached to it. So you'll be able to see the entire approval process and all the journals and that get it. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Justin. So, I hear that the next update is about bulk actions in Zero.
Yes, yes. Okay, sorry. I'll go in and there we go. Yeah, so this is, I think this could be like um a a silent hit. It's got to be something that becomes one of our more popular features, I think. Because once you kind of realize it's there, to be honest, it snuck up on me. Like I didn't even notice that it was there. They released it, and then it's only kind of preparing for this webinar that it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they've added that in. So I'll show you what this looks like. We'll go into Zero. 0 now. So it works, actually, so it allows you to duplicate, remove, edit multiple lines in one place. Allows you to do, it works with purchase orders, bills, quotes, sales list, manual journals. And yeah, just especially if we're going to be with ApprovalMax Capture, bringing in line item information. So we're dealing with complex invoices. The ability to bulk change things, I think, is going to be something quite valuable. So we could go in. Let's find one that's got a few lines to it. So we could go in here, and we could go edit, and then you could tick the box up here. There's now a box up here you could tick, and you could pick the ones that you want. So let's say we just want to change these ones, and we could go edit selected, and there's also clone selected as well. So if you want to clone a line item, so that's pretty good if you want to, split, do a split. We'll go edit, and then we could change the tracking categories, the account codes. I'll change these all to North here and go save. So now it's just a more efficient way of working, and probably also a bit less error prone too, because you're not clicking multiple things. You can kind of you could just do it all in one go as a bulk action.
It's brilliant, Justin. We've actually got just some advice from Helen, which is brilliant about the accrual reports that we saw before. Just a trick I've learned, Helen says, if you lock the period first, then run the journal for the first day of the next month, it goes to draft journals in Xero. Then you can just change the date to the last of the month before posting. So hopefully that answers the last caller's question. Thank you, Helen. Please keep sharing your tips and tricks either through the Q&A section or in the chat. Thank you. Brilliant. So,
Okay.
Justin, we actually now have a poll before we get on to our
Yes.
next section.
Let
Could
me
you
launch
please
that.
start the poll? Thank you. Now, we're very interested to learn from our clients and participants, what OCR tools are you using? So what capture tools are you using? There's lots of shy people.
Oh, hang
Please,
on.
please.
Hang on. Sorry, we've got the
We've,
wrong
we've
poll
done the
up.
wrong poll first. Okay,
Yeah, let
awesome.
me fix that, guys. Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. No problem. Oh, whoops, everybody's
Okay.
okay.
Sorry.
Ah,
We'll end that. We'll end that poll. We'll go back. Hang on.
okay. We'll go back.
We'll
Thank you.
end that poll. All right, and then we'll ask you that one again in a second.
Brilliant. Thanks, Justin. So, OCR tools, fantastic. So we've got Dex Prepare, we've got HubDoc, we've got ApprovalMax Capture, which
Oh,
just you're going to talk about in a moment, aren't you?
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, it's good to see. Yeah, it's good to see. People are starting to use ApprovalMax Capture. Um,
Yes.
yeah. So there we go.
Brilliant. So far
Um,
we've got, we'll leave it.
I'm actually surprised that HubDoc's sitting at, you know, um, a decent amount actually. I've got a few auto entry
26%.
people. Yeah, all
Ah, here we
right. So
go.
the results are still coming in. So sorry, can't share it yet.
Yes. Yes, that's right. But, a little bit of a spoiler alert, as you just said, Dex Prepare seems to be the tool of choice so far. But
Yeah. Should I
Approval
share
Max
now?
Capture, yes, please.
Okay. End poll and then share results.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
can see Justin 39% for Dex Prepare, 24 for HubDoc, 21 as a close second for Approval Max Capture,
Yeah.
3% for auto entry, and then there's a couple of other suggestions.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great.
Yeah. Well, Justin, over to you to take us through Approval Max Capture, please.
Okay. Yeah. So A lot of you have probably seen parts of ApprovalMax capture before. Well, actually, like sounds like 21% of you already using it. But that's probably good because there's probably some things you've been wondering about that will be answered in this presentation, which is you can now send it to a dedicated email address. We've also if you update the mobile app on your device, you update the ApprovalMax app on your device, your mobile device, you can now snap photos and bring that into ApprovalMax capture as well. Yeah, so let's talk about the email functionality. So we'll go into ApprovalMax again, and we'll go into your approval workflows. And there's a few settings here that I want to share with you, which is if you go down here, receive by email, you can now nominate who the default submitter is. So before it was always the account owner, but now you can nominate a default submitter. The other really key feature here that's very important to know is you can choose to send things either to draft. That means that the requester will get it as a and I'll show you where. Actually, I'll just quickly show you where that is now. So, if it's set to draft, the requester will see it here in this captured by me area. That's where it'll end up. Um, but in the but if you enable the on review or approval, this means that you can use your review. This means that you can use your review steps to have it go straight through to review. So that way you can use all the review rules that we discussed earlier of having, if it's this, you could have supplier rules in your review, for example. You could also have a default a reviewer. So that's if you've got a biggish team, that's a really powerful use of the review step combined with ApprovalMax capture. Yeah, so I did just see there's a question. Can we have multiple
It's
people for capture by email? That's where you would nominate multiple people as reviewers. That's the that's how you do that. And if we just so you could go in here, and then you could you've got all these options. You've got the option of nominating supplier rules and departments and so on, and amount. So you've got all kinds of criteria you could use. And keep in mind, you can also add alternative rules under an individual as well. So that's how you can have different types of bills going to different kinds of reviewers.
brilliant. Thank you, Justin. I think we've got another question. Does it automatically pick up multiple line descriptions?
Yeah, it does. So let me just do one now. It that's one of its biggest strengths is is the fact that it does this. So if I bring in this invoice that's quite complex, it actually brings in all the line item information, and the file I've uploaded is actually JPEG. So it's not even a PDF where the line items are actually sitting there, like the text is sitting there behind the image. This is actually just reading it off of basically what's a photo. So it's very accurate at doing the OCR and reading. And you can see in this case, because I've done this supply before, it's already put it through to the right account codes and the tracking categories and things for me to review. Yeah, so it and in some organizations, you might have an invoice come through where one part of it should be approved by one approver and one should be approved by a different approver. And by having that line item information allows you to kind of use your approval rules and your review rules to direct it to the correct person.
That's lovely. Justin, we actually have another question from Holly. Can we set a different approver delegate when, say, when you're out of office for different sales invoices and projects?
Yes. Yeah. So, oh, actually, no, sorry. So when you're, yeah, with the substitute, it is a substitute for that person. So, so if that whoever that person is, like whatever projects and roles they're working on, whoever substitutes them will be approving all the things they approve. But you can't get quite into the detail of saying for this. If you wanted to do that, you'd probably have to just go and change the tracking category. Sorry, the workflow itself. But keep in mind we do have version histories in workflows, so that could be an easy way of doing that, and then being able to see what it was before to change it back.
Uh, Thanks, Justin. There was actually a little bit of a clarification there just before, i.e. directing the approval based on the line item like you were just showing before. So you're able to have a different approver delegate for each of the line items, if I'm understanding correctly, Holly.
Yeah, you can, yes, because see how I've got on the screen here, I've got different regions. So if I put this one to south and I've got a different approver to south, this invoice will be sent to both the approver for north and south. Um, and depending on how you've got your approval rules set up, if you've got it set up that they both need to approve it, then then it would actually require two people's approvals. Um, or if you've got it set of any of one, which is another way you can do it, then it would only need one of their approvals. So yeah, absolutely. So you could definitely um, have have the approver being determined based on the line item information, not just as one per bill.
Thank you, Justin. We also have another question from Paula. Do you need to set the account code rule, or does it learn to code based on the last time you processed it?
Yeah, it learns that's how it does it. So the first time you do it, you're going to have to code it, and then it learns, and it actually, see this yellow here, it actually like flags the fact that it's coded. It's filled it in for you based on what's been done in the past.
Brilliant. So it's very smart. So we have another question from Paula. Thank you, Paula. How do you set up the any of one approval rule?
Yeah, good question. So this is just in your approval workflow. We go down here, and that's this little box here, approval condition, and you can go any of one, or yeah, you could actually make it any of two, because in some organizations you have a situation where something needs to get sent to multiple people. But they don't want to have to necessarily have all those people sign off on it. So there's multiple use cases of having like an any of one condition or an any of two condition. Yeah, so that's quite a useful thing to know.
Thank you, Justin. The questions are flying in now, which is lovely. Thank you. Anisha has asked, are we able to set up supplier rules?
Yeah, no, you can't. No, you can't. I do believe that may be on our roadmap to do that, but at the moment it's just learning based on what you've done in the past.
Brilliant. Thank you, Justin. Okay, I think we also have the poll that we sort of snuck up on everybody before. So
Oh
now
yes,
maybe we
okay.
can we can launch that poll.
Yes,
We
all
gave
right,
everybody a
cool.
sneak we gave everybody a sneak preview of what the poll was.
Thankfully there's a relaunch poll option in here.
That's lovely.
There we
Thanks,
go. Yeah.
Justin.
All
Now
right.
we've shown you a whole lot of features here today, but we also have snuck in a couple that we think that you might have used in the past from previous. So which of the features have we shown you today that you're using, or other ones like number 3, editing on approval, which we covered in our last webinar? Oh,
Yeah.
look, Justin, they're flying in, which is great. A lot of people using review step and editing on approval. That's a
Yeah.
great feature, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's actually really nice to see that actually all of these features are getting used. Yeah, so yeah, that's good. That's good. Uh, yeah, I mean some of the newer ones that are very new only have a few. So, do you want me to share the poll and then
Well,
share it?
yes, that would be lovely if we don't have any other takers coming in.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So, I think we've got a pretty good idea anyway. Like, so lots of people have tried the review step. Editing on approval, really, oh, a lot of
Mhm.
people are using that. Request version history, 12%. I suspect that's because you probably just didn't notice there was an icon there. It's kind of hidden away, but I bet you'll start using it now. Accrual report, well, that's pretty niche, so it's not surprised. I'm actually surprised it's already at 12%. ApprovalMax capture, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, pushing comments, that was kind of sneaked out, so it's not surprising many people haven't. And then bulk actions, yeah, like I didn't even realize they'd done that. So, and merging bills, which we haven't talked about yet, but
Mm.
so that's yeah, great. So those are that's really obviously we've got all the power users on the call today.
We do, Justin. There's actually some snaky questions coming in, so we might just answer those. Um, sorry, I'm just trying to. So, our question is, how do you edit on approval?
Yeah, okay, so um all right, so oh, hang on. Okay. All right. So we'll go in to your approval workflow. Now, keep in mind, you've got to be on an advanced or a premium plan for this. Um, there's now this bit here, editing matrix. Some of you might be grandfathered to the old review step, and it'll prompt you, do you want to migrate? So just bear that in mind. Uh, but um, but the once you've migrated from the old review step to, because the old review step used to allow the first approver to do some basic reviewing, but now this is so much better because you can come in here and you can tick specifically for each approver what they're allowed to edit. Like you probably don't want them editing, say, amounts and dates and things. Um, but you might want them to be able to edit, say, account code or the tax code, um, and then the tracking categories. But it could vary depending on every situation, of course. But yeah, so this allows you to come in and choose what they're allowed to edit, which is really cool. And it's something that you can use in conjunction with the standalone review step as well.
Thanks, Justin. So if we could go back to the slide deck,
Oh, yeah,
please,
sorry.
just as we're, that's okay. Thanks, Justin. Just as we're finishing up. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Everybody that's registered will receive a copy of the recording by the end of this week. So you will be able to rewatch all of the updates that Justin has presented through to us. We hope that these updates will save you time and money while improving your processes. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you at these updates, and we hope that they benefit your business. Thanks, everyone.